The Duchess of Sussex is back with a brand new podcast. It's called Confessions of a Female Founder. It drops next month, and the trailer aired this week. Take a listen.
I'm Meghan, and this is Confessions of a Female Founder, a show where I chat with female entrepreneurs and friends about the sleepless nights, the lessons learned, and the laser focus that got them to where they are today. We're diving into the highs.
It just started climbing and climbing and climbing, and there was 5,000, 10,000 people on our website. And I called Roger and said, what's going on?
And the lows.
I'm sitting there the next day. I've everybody. I'm broke. And no one's calling me.
Oh, no. And the kind of advice that turns small ideas into billion-dollar businesses.
I knew in that moment I'd rather stand for something than sell a whole ton of product and stand for nothing.
You have to detach from the outcome. You have to. It's a little bit like the way we talk to our children. It's, did you try your best?
And of course, we're gonna get some girl talk. Are you saying you're not single now? Have I missed something in the past couple weeks? What's happening?
Can we stay focused, please?
Okay. And through it all, I'm building a business of my own and getting all sorts of practical advice along the way that I'm very excited to share with you. So join me for Confessions of a Female Founder from Lemonada Media, which, by the way, is also female-founded. Launching April 8th, wherever you get your podcasts. Let's do this, ladies. This is not Shark Tank. Think of this as Dolphin Tank.
Yes.
These are very friendly.
Dolphin Tank.
These are very friendly waters. It's all going to be good.
Is it all going to be good, Roya? As a fellow podcaster, what was your take on what we've heard so far?
Well, she'll be hoping it's all going to be good, because the last podcast with Spotify, Archetypes, although actually it had very good listening figures. I mean,
10 million?
Yeah, I mean,
Not
she was
to be
getting
sniffed at.
I mean, not to be sniffed at. But Spotify cancelled that and didn't renew it. So I think this is a reboot. It's very well timed in terms of her launch of, as ever, her own brand, and you know how much we've seen that sort of expanding even in the last couple of weeks. And I think the fact that she's honing in on women, it feeds into the fact that she is someone who wants to be known as boosting women up. And we saw in the Netflix program that we've just had recently a lot of criticism of, oh, it's too trad wife. She's just at home in the kitchen. Why is she just doing a cooking show? And people then, coming back and saying, well, actually, you can do both. And this will go right to the heart of her, I think, wanting to project that image of being...
Connect the two projects.
A woman's woman, connect the projects, and someone who sort of listens to women, listens to their stories and learns from them.
Here's the thing. Do we need a podcast like this, Russell? I mean, are there not a ton of them already available to download right now with people that aren't just starting out as business founders, but have already nailed it and kind of slayed the day?
I think people would be interested in this. I'm not the target market. I won't be listening to it. Probably will be listening to it.
Are you sure?
Through work, but,
Not very professional, Russell.
but my wife is an executive. She might be interested in it, and to listening to different stories about how women have formulated businesses, especially juggling home life and children. I think that is interesting. So possibly a bit more of an appetite for this than Archetypes, which was the criticism labelled at Archetypes was that Meghan was putting herself at the centre of the story the whole time. So maybe she will have a bit more of a sort of diary of a CEO kind of feel to it, and just listening to the stories that are being told to her rather than giving her own two pennies worth at the time.
Interesting though, because the Diary of a CEO started out as that. It very much isn't now. I mean, it's not about CEOs. It's about somebody telling you how your metabolism might work, or it's branched.
That's
out
where the
from
space has gone, though, isn't it? I mean,
that's where the space has gone. Yeah. How much does she need this to work, Sarah?
She really needs this to work after losing the Spotify deal. And as Russell said, the criticism around the Archetypes podcast, that it was more about Meghan than it was about her guests. She had some really big names on there, Serena Williams, Mariah Carey, for example. She got those people on board, and yet she tended to talk about herself more than hearing them. So I'll be interested when this launches, whether Meghan really is learning from these female founders, because she's just starting out in business, as she said. We heard that clip there talking about turning a small idea into $1 billion business. That's what she wants to do. with this idea of making jam at home and turning this into a billion-dollar business. Can she learn from this? Does she take those lessons? And do we really hear those voices coming through as well as Meghan's? The other criticism that came out in the Vanity Fair piece about Meghan was that when Spotify took her on, they really expected her to be opening up her contact book, to be really full of really punchy ideas. An archetype was really set to challenge those stereotypes. And actually, they found that she pulled back quite a bit and wasn't quite as brave as they might have expected her to be.
Are we surprised? I mean, this is a woman who has been so trolled, judged, I mean, rightly or wrongly in terms of people's judgments.
She's having to watch her every word.
Yeah, of course. Would you not do the same in order to sort of, try to, fend off the blows? The human spirit can only take so much of that, surely.
But we are seeing her more and more and more, posting almost daily now on her Instagram feed. She is free of the shackles of royal life now, and she is back, and she is able to have her own platform and put out her own story and her own narrative.
Well, absolutely, and respond quite quickly, and most recently with humour. So one of the recent kind of press feuds, and I used that because Meghan has already shared so much of her life in the kitchen on her show. Gwyneth Paltrow did a much the same post, and people piled in thinking that she was throwing shade at Meghan, and the pair of them got together and decided to cook up a response. Let's take a look.
I genuinely do not understand this at all whatsoever. Do you understand this?
I mean,
brilliant bit of PR. It's inspired, isn't it? Because the suggestion was, there's Gwyneth, she's in her actual kitchen, wearing pyjamas, wearing no makeup, opening up a packet, putting it in the oven, and that this was, as you say, throwing shade at Meghan. And then we see Meghan in the kitchen eating a slice of pie.
It'd be interesting to see who came up with this idea, because Gwyneth Paltrow had said, "Listen, there's enough to go around for everybody. This space is open for all of us."
And also, she said, I don't view other women as foes. I view them as friends.
And she said, we should all be given the opportunity to try what we like. And maybe some people did say that was a bit of shade as well.
Maybe she'll get Gwyneth as a guest on Confessions of a Female Founder, and
the second series.
Hear about how she made Goop a huge.
I would be interested to hear that.
I would.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh, there you go, Meghan.
Because the other problem is with the female founders conversation, if you're not interested in setting up a business of your own, are you going to be drawn to this as a topic?
Yeah, I think you will, because the people that will choose. You'll imagine that some of the big names that she had, like with archetypes, that you'll be interested in those individuals if she lets them speak. That's got to be
the edit can do that. Listen,
but that's got to be the essence of the. Well, the edit didn't do it for archetypes, did it?
But was she in charge of the edit?
Them. But if well, perhaps.
Well, it was co-produced with Archwell, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So she did have a certain degree of
But if you were
control over
Spotify and you'd paid as much money as we believe she was paid,
you want maximum Meghan.
You're going to want to have a lot of Meghan in there.
Yeah, you do.
The one thing she will certainly be hoping for is kinder reviews with this than came with Archetypes and that came with Love Meghan, because I don't know, I feel like we often talk about anything she does feels like it gets very divisive responses.
Very tribal, isn't it?
And with Love Meghan, which clearly she'd put so much effort into, okay, there's always this sort of there's always this narrative that comes from where the British media are sort of pitched against it, but actually it had very unkind reviews in America by publications like Variety, these big Hollywood Bibles that seem to have turned against Sussexes. So I think for this, she'll be hoping for a reboot, not only in terms of content, but also maybe in terms of how she's received.
Being taken seriously.
Well, also, and the way she's responding to things has changed, right? There was a post from a fellow podcaster who had, when she shared one of her most recent posts, said, "I'm scared for Meghan." Now, whether or not she meant she was scared in terms of people piling on and trolling, Meghan responded with a handwritten note to her, dated this month. "I heard you're feeling scared. Don't be. This is the fun part. Let's enjoy it, as ever.
As ever.
Meghan." What was your take on that? Is that her throwing an arm around this woman and saying, "Don't be scared," or was it slightly passive-aggressive?
No, I don't think so. It's probably saying, "Listen, let's enjoy the ride. If you can't enjoy this moment, you should be being given ample opportunities to succeed. there are some great projects lined up for her. Let's see what the podcast does. But why should she be scared? She should stand on her own principles and back herself, surely.
There has been some suggestion that this was a PR stunt. Amanda, the woman in question, the not skinny but not fat podcaster, now we're all talking about her as well, and we do know that name, and it's, again, a bit of genius PR on both sides, because, Meghan writing this letter saying, come on, let's enjoy this, I'm not scared.
I think I read it. My interpretation of it was her putting out to the world, I don't have as thin skin as you think I do.
Yeah.
I'm tougher than you think.
Yeah.
A little bit of, we've heard her historically talk about, I was the most trolled woman in the world. It was unsurvivable. But I feel like she's possibly sort of come through that. And
let's hope so.
That's how I read that card.
And then, as well as offering up the podcast, the Netflix series, we've now got Meghan's wardrobe, the points of inspiration in terms of what she wears and how she wears it. And you can shop this now. And this is Shop My, which is a facility that's offered to kind of premium influencers, content creators, the elite. Yes. Tell me about this and what we've learned from how Meghan's wardrobe is pulled together.
Yeah, so obviously there was a lot of focus in With Love Meghan on her wardrobe, which was amazing. Maybe not what the rest of us would be wearing in the kitchen to make
tomatoes, only a white shirt.
But
hello, somebody's been inspired.
And she'll be making skillet spaghetti tonight.
I will. How did you know?
But this is some of the pieces that Meghan has worn, or similar pieces, and now you can find them and buy them yourself. And no matter what the critics have said about With Love Meghan, one of the things that has been successful is the fashion, the brands, because they have seen a massive surge in interest. So many of the items sold out.
And then it's everything from the very high end to a pair of Zara trousers.
Well, yeah, there's a trench coat on here from Uniqlo, which is £99, for example, but there are shoes that are £575. Meghan has said, please note some products may contain commissionable links, so she'll get a cut of any clicks and sales.
But that is the model of Shop My. You can't have one without the other, and it's an affiliate link. Everybody does it.
But
why
what
shouldn't
this
she?
is saying is this shift in direction, that actually Meghan's now an influencer.
I think, personally, of all the things she's done recently creatively, I think this feels like the most natural fit for her. She sort of is a royal influencer. I mean, we have, Kate, the Princess of Wales. Everything she wears gets huge scrutiny on her wardrobe, but she's in a different role. She's going to be the next queen. She can't do stuff like this. This is possibly the kind of thing that Meghan would have liked to have done when she was in the royal family, but you can't do the two together. And I felt like when they left and started talking about a different kind of financial freedom, it always felt like it was going in this direction. This didn't come as a surprise to anyone. I don't.
No,
think.
it's
the fact that she's able to
implement a playbook, isn't it?
Yeah, the fact that she's. I mean, it's interesting the kind of levels of shoppability. I mean, yesterday I noticed that she was saying, some of you have been asking about my nail polish. Here's my nail. And that felt, I don't know, that felt very...
with instructions, one coat of each colour.
Yeah. But you know what? If it's going to make her the money that she wants to make, and if it's, people, it's giving people a little bit of an aspirational slice of her life that's more affordable than the multi-million-pound Montecito mansion, then why not?
And if she can champion small brands and, female fashion designers as well, wouldn't that be a good
Has she with the first mix?
There are some small brands here. There's also an African collective that she's an investor in, that she's included in the mix, a handbag, for example, which, I mean, is still expensive. It's £700 and something. But, one of the things when the Princess of Wales decided she wasn't going to talk about her fashion anymore, a lot of brands were disappointed in that, because she does give them a massive boost.
And still does.
And still does, because everyone knows.
What she's wearing.
Of course, you can find it out in moments by going online, but Meghan has that same effect as well.